Hi everyone, this is Sumanth. So in this video, let's discuss heat map. So we have seen how we can just plot the continuous data as well as the categorical data in the previous two videos. And in this video, let's understand how you can just plot the data using heat map. So this heat map is also a different kind of plot through which we can able to visualize the data. So what's the specialty of this heat map means? So it gonna represent all kind of data in form of different colors. So when you just take different numbers, right? When we have numbers in the data, right? So in that data, when we just plot based on the relationship of the numbers, right? Whether the numbers are big or small, it gonna change the colors as well. So now let's see how we can just plot the heat map and what are the arguments present in this heat map. So we are just using Seaborn to plot the heat map. So you can see I've just imported the Seaborn, and to plot the heat map, first let's try to import the NumPy package. So let's try to generate some random data. So let's plot that data using Seaborn. Now I will just give data is equal to np.random. So here we have low value, high value and size. So let's generate some random data between 1 and 100, and let's give the shape as 5 by 5. So when I just give this data, so you can see this is the data which it is generated. Now let's try to plot this using the heat map. So for that I'm just using SNS dot heat map of data. So let's see what the output will be. So you can see the data, right? You can see the heat map here. So it just represented this data. So you can see we have around 25 values. So it just represented these 25 values with different kind of colors. So what you can see, if the value is low, like the values which are very smaller, it just represented that with darker colors, and the values which are high, so it just represented that with brighter colors. So you can see here in our data we have this 1 as well as 12, 9, these are the smaller data, right? Small values. So it just represented that with the darker colors. So you can see it just represented that with black color. You can see similarly when compared to this 1, we have this 9, right, which is somewhat higher than this 1. So you can see there's a little bit of change here, like a little bluish black color. So like that it just represented it. So now since we just plotted with the normal values, normal integers, we don't find much useful. But when you just plot the correlation between the variables in the normal data set, then you can just understand if the colors are darker, you can just understand there is less correlation, and if the colors are brighter, you can just understand there is a high correlation between those variables. Now let's try to plot that, right? Instead of this normal random data, let's try to plot the normal data set. So for that, I will just import data is equal to SNS dot load underscore dataset of, let's load the Titanic. So you can see this is the data. First we'll just find the correlation between the variables. So in order to find the correlation, we just have the other function. So data dot core of, right? So this is the function which will be useful to find the correlation between the variables. So you can see when I just give data dot core of, it will just take only the continuous data, right? It won't consider the categorical data. It will consider only this continuous data, and with that, for that continuous variables, it will just find the correlation. So you can see this survived and survived. So definitely, since the two variables are same, definitely the correlation is high. So to give you a little bit intuition about this correlation, so what this correlation means, how the variable is dependent on the other variable. like if the one variable is increasing, whether the other variable is increasing or decreasing, we can able to find that using correlation. So this correlation is between -1 to 1. So if the correlation is 1, we can just understand that there is a high correlation between those two variables. It means the variables are highly dependent on each other. And when the correlation is negative, if let's say if we have -1, then we can understand that there is a negative correlation. It means if one variable is increasing, the other variable is decreasing. So that's about this correlation. So that's what we just got, these different values between -1 to 1. And now if you just want to plot these same thing in the form of colors, right? So yeah, we can understand this. We have some negative values, we have some positive values, but the idea behind this heat map is to plot the numbers in the form of colors, so that we can able to get better intuition, we can able to understand it much more better, right? So that's why we are just plotting this. So this is the correlation, and now let's try to plot this in heat map. I'll just store this in other variable df, and now sns dot. So we can see I've just plotted this. Now, so when compared to this table, now seeing this graph is much more better, right? Now we can able to find, you can see all these values are 1, and we can able to find much more better way, like what are the, in which areas we have the negative correlation, so in which we have the positive correlation, we can just able to find, right? So you can see using these colors, or we can able to find it easily, and also it looks much more better, right, when compared to these numbers. So that's the use of this heat map. So that's how you can just plot this heat map. And now let's try to understand what are the different variables we have in this, what are the different arguments you have in this heat map. So first, so here we have with data, and you can see we have this v min and v max. So if I just give v min is equal to 4, so let's take this v min as 0.1, right, and 0.1, 0.4. Now you can see it will just consider between -0.1 to 0.4 itself. So that's this v min and v max. And when you just see other variables, we have this C map, color map. So the use of this is if you just want to set some other colors. So you can see we have here as black color, right? We have the for lower values we have this black color, like the darker colors. So if you just want to change these colors, so instead of this black, if you just want brighter colors here, so you can just do that using that C map. So you can see I'm just copying the colors which they have given in this documentation, and when I just plot this now, so you can see now we just got some different colors, right? So that's how this C map is useful, like whatever the colors you just want, you can just change this. So yeah, that's what this C map. So these are the few important arguments. So that's this C map, that's this heat map. So yeah, that's how you can just plot this heat map, right? You can see how useful it is. Instead of this values, you can just visualize that in the form of colors, so that you will get some better intuition. So that's this heat map. So in this video I'm not explaining more about the correlation, what are the advantages of having high, like what are the disadvantages of having high correlation. I'm not discussing in depth of that, but yeah, I hope you understood how useful it is to plot the data using this heat map. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you feel this video is helpful, make sure to like the video, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And with that, I will just see you all in the next video. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.